Video games and work.
Video games and work. That's the life of the average male these days.
Well, why not? I mean,
Yeah, why not? Beats going out and stealing stereos. I don't know. Is that what kids do these days?
no, they eat Tide Pods.
Well, we're live now. Thanks anyone for joining us today. We're just doing a random stream tonight. Hopefully, we'll get some other people to join us tonight. I posted the link in the usual chat threads, so we'll see if we get any surprise visitors. But if not, we're just talking about whatever's on our mind. We were talking about real-time strategy games versus turn-based strategy games.
Well, it wasn't so much versus.
Not so much versus.
As with Total War. At least I played for like 3 hours of it. That was all I could do, and it has RTS in it. It's just nowhere near as heavy on the RTS. I mean, granted, it can be. I could see like the bigger battles requiring more RTS ingenuity, but it's turn-based mixed with RTS, and if I could understand it, if I care to take the time to understand it, then I'd probably like the game, but as it stands, it's too much headache. That's my excuse. I'm sticking with it.
How closer to the canon?
Battle for Middle Earth 2?
Yeah.
Oh, it's kind of canon. I don't know. So when you're in Minas Tirith and you look out of the city, can you see the black gates? Like they're directly like across the street from each other?
They're not directly across the street from each other. I'd say my memory's really fuzzy, but if I remember the map correctly, it was probably closer to like, maybe 50 to 60 miles. So close enough to feel them, but not like they're right there.
Well, no, I don't mean like right there, but like
right.
Like Osgiliath is in between, and then you have like the black gates that are like directly across from Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
Because in this game, it's kind of cattywampus to it.
Huh.
But aside from that, I mean, I haven't read the books. I don't know too much Lord of the Rings lore, but it seems pretty accurate. You've got all the heroes. You've got you can control like the Balrog and cave
really?
trolls
Cool.
and shit. It's cool. It's cool as shit. You can even have Sauron finally.
What?
Yep, fucking Sauron's in it. It's fucking.
What? Is he just a big eye?
No. He is actually Sauron. If you get the ring back to your fortress, you can actually summon Sauron himself.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Why not?
And I mean, it's kind of it plays with the canon quite a bit. Like when the fellow, I mean, in the first so in the first episode or the first good mission, you have all 9 members of the Fellowship. They're in Moria, and they're doing their thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Gandalf survives, so he's still traveling with the Fellowship after that. Boromir doesn't die, and it's not canon.
Right, it's like an alternate fiction, a conceit for the game because you want to play as Boromir.
Yeah.
Right, so we got to pretend he's alive to do that. So I get that. That's fine. I got no problem with that. Lord of the Rings, you can play with the canon in so much as long as you're true to the rules of the universe, and don't directly contradict, established lore. I think you can play with it somewhat as a conceit for a video game, just for player enjoyment. Like, like I said, you want to play as Boromir, you want to play as, Gandalf the Grey or Gandalf the White, maybe there's an upgrade where, or something like that, like just the player experience should always be number one when it comes to video games. It's not like doing a side story that changes canon, for example.
Right. And when it comes to the heroes, they actually have levels. You level up from Gandalf the Grey to Gandalf the White at his 5th level. So.
Okay, yeah. So I was kind of right about that. Like they do have that mechanic in there.
Yeah, it doesn't really change his stats too much, at least not that I've noticed. But it does. But it does happen. And I mean, there are some like their powers. Like Aragon can summon the army of the dead pretty much
Nice.
100 times a game if you can make him live that long and make the game last that long.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Getting into the good lore.
it's a pretty fun game. I'm digging it. I'm just doing skirmishes right now because I upped the population cap from 1,000 to to 4,000.
Oh my
And
god.
I'm finally having those fucking huge ass battles. I'm trying to get some mods for it where you can actually like have that big fucking Helm's Deep battle, but
You're
it's
not getting any lag on your computer with all those numbers on your
no,
screen?
I got a $2,500 rig here.
There you go.
What I need to do is upgrade the graphics card because right now I've got a 750 GTX and I want to either get the 1080 or just say fucking go with a Titan.
I'm looking at upgrading my gaming computer too, but I need more hard drive space. I'm looking at getting. They have 8 terabyte drives now for like $250.
That's it. Well, not yeah. I don't think you would ever. You could use all that, but
I know. I'm thinking I could dump all of my data from all of my various computers onto that and still have a shitload of memory left, and then just put it all onto my Prime computer and just trick that out and upgrade the processor, and it's good to go. It's already got 48 gigs of RAM, so like it's just the processor that needs upgrading at this point. But
what
yeah,
my computer. I built my computer like 2 years ago, so it might need an overhaul. Uh, I'm running G4. Yeah, I'm running Nvidia and Intel stuff right now. I'm thinking about looking into AMD just to see if there is any real comparison between the two. I know Intel's starting to make their own I heard Intel's starting to make its own graphics cards now. Don't know if that's going to be worth a damn or not.
well, the thing about computers, man, is that you could get the top technology today and it'll be outdated in a week. So it's always a battle being a PC gamer because it's like, when do you upgrade? And I don't know. My computer's pretty old, but it still holds up. It plays the newest games, no problem. But I know it's going to hit a wall pretty soon here. It's getting to that point where I'm like, I'm going to need to upgrade the CPU if anything. The graphics card is a K2200 NVIDIA, which is adequate. It's not the bomb, but it's perfectly acceptable for everything it needs to do. 48 gigs of RAM, no problem there. It's just the CPU is a bit outdated, and that's where I'm going to have to hit it when I do that. But
RAM, Jesus Christ!
I know I'm never going to have a RAM problem. I have 6 slots with 8 GB RAM slots, RAM sticks in them.
I've only got two fucking RAM sticks of 8
I mean, it's all you need. I mean, especially if it can support 8 GB each. There's no reason I need 48 gigs of RAM. It's just I wanted to maximize. It had the slots, so I put it there.
Damn, let's say, fuck. You need the Titan X to run that shit? Damn.
If only more shit ran off RAM and not CPU, that thing would be a motherfucker. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. The CPU is what lets it down.
Yeah, I got shit. What the fuck kind of CPU do I have? No Demon Tool. No Demon Tool. Never mind. I don't want to look at that right now. But yeah, I mean, I will be, because as I said, I'm getting back to the oil fields. I'm done with production.
Damn. Back to hell.
Yeah, but this time I'll be sticking in my home state. I got a friend. Yeah, I've got a friend who's been pestering me to come. Well, not yet. Pestering me. Sorry, dude. You haven't. To go back for like a year. And after working production and this newest job, man, I fucking hate it.
Mm.
The people are decent, but the job itself, man, I fucking hate it. And the cost of living in my area has gone up exponentially. It's going to continue to go up because a bunch of goddamn transplants can't keep to their own fucking state.
Fucking Californians.
Yes. And no, it's actually the Illinoisans.
Illinoisans.
The
Holy
highest.
shit, they're getting out of Chicago?
Yeah, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Yeah, dude. I visited for 2 weeks once. I had to get out of there as fast as possible.
Oh, did you see Marcus?
No. I did see shit. Trying a blank. Oh my god, dude, I'm so sorry. We went out and got deep dish pizza. It was a really great night. And he hooked me up with pot. Maybe it's better I don't say his name now.
It's all good. But yeah, I just actually got back from the fucking DMV because my fucking CDL was canceled, quote unquote. And it was because my medical card went out, so I had to go there and show them, yeah, I got my medical card. Give me back my freaking ability to drive rigs.
Oh man, even though it's legalized in Colorado, that still plays into your CDL.
What? Pot?
Yeah.
No. No, you can't smoke pot. And no, that's a federal thing.
Oh really? Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Oh no, I didn't have my DOT physical for like 3 years. And
Yeah.
then the one I had only lasts 2 years before you have to get a new one.
Okay.
So my CDL was suspended, not canceled. I don't know why they called it that because I nearly shit a brick when I heard that. And yeah, but I'm good to go now. So I also have to study to get the tanker and hazardous materials endorsement.
Gosh. Darren was supposed to join us, and on the topic of CDLs, he probably has a lot to say. He was a commercial truck driver most of his life. He's supposed to come back, join us at some point tonight, so maybe we can revisit it when he's here.
Works for me.
I wanted to ask you, we were talking a while back about turn-based games. Have you played XCOM?
No, I have not.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The only other turn-based game I've played was Galactic Civilizations,
Uh-huh.
and I hated that too. The
Well,
action was so fucking boring.
XCOM is turn-based squad strategy. So what you have is like a squad of like 4 Marines, and you can customize them before you go into your mission. And then you have like a grid that they have action points to do, and you can either move or shoot or balance between the two. Some people can shoot twice or have grenades or whatever, and it's very like tactical. And the idea is aliens are abducting or invading Earth, and you got to take them out or save people from aliens or whatever. And it's quite engrossing. Are we friends on Steam?
I do not think we are, but I'm not
Okay.
really ever on Steam.
Oh, okay. You don't play on Steam? What do you play on?
Well, truth be told, I'm usually playing Minecraft or Battle for Middle-earth 2. I'm trying to save money right now, but
Well, I was gonna say, if you're on Steam, I'll fucking gift it to you. It's like $10 or something. Like, I'll just, you can do that. You can just buy a game, but I'd do it just to like. I think you'd enjoy it. It's a really well done game. If you enjoy like very well balanced characters and combat and just it's very strategic, and for a turn-based game it's actually pretty intense. They do a really good job with it, so I'd like to check it out. I'd like you to check it out.
I've heard good things about it. Does it have a good storyline?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, it does. Basically you're XCOM, the secret underground observers of the real alien threat, the Area 51, for example, for lack of a better term. And you're special Marines, and you can recruit people and give them cybernetic implants and all that stuff, but that's not part of the story. But basically, it's all about protecting the world, and the drama within the interface is actually really interesting, because if you go to the science lab, it's not just a menu that comes up, but you have the scientist there, and he's like, so latest developments in technology have told us that, blah, 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 and we need to get this done. Otherwise, this area could be in danger or whatever. So there's stakes to everything. So, and you can skip it if you want. If all you want to do is just play the game and get down into action, you can do that. But if you want to immerse yourself in the story, it's all there for you.
I might consider that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's basically how the world defeats an alien invasion, and you're the squad commander that leads the front line. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that sounds pretty decent. All right.
But yeah, if you can fire up your Steam, I'll fucking gift it to you there. If not, maybe we can find another way to get it to you. But it's definitely they made it for the Xbox. It was originally made in the 90s. and then they remade it very faithfully, I might add, for the original Xbox, not the Xbox One, but the big black original Xbox, in like 2004 or something like that. And that's the game that they've brought into Steam now, with some upgrades for the modern sensibilities, just tweaks to the controls and shit like that.
All right. Oh, that's
So
my
that's your Steam name?
yeah, that's my name.
All right, easy to remember. Hmm.
Nobody ever seems to take that name anywhere. It makes me happy.
I would imagine so. Yeah, it's not something I would have thought.
Well, no, I mean it's either that or Daxile. Those are my two names online. Because nobody knows, well, hardly anybody knows my real name. And with the way things are going right now, nobody's going to. I mean,
I
even
I don't think I even know your real name. We've been friends for what, 6 years now?
yes, sir.
That's just fine. You're Daxon to me. That's good enough.
Oh, don't worry, dude. There's people I've been friends with for shit. What is it? 9, 10 years on Facebook, and they still think my name is Daxon Islander. Or
Really?
yeah.
Do people actually think Islander is your last name?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, granted, I did look into legally changing it. Not the Daxon one, but the Islander. But I looked into that, and that's a fucking headache and a half I don't care to deal with. It's not. It's not a quick, nor is it an easy thing.
Well, and why would you want to do that anyway? The whole point is it's not you, right?
Because Islander is an awesome last name.
Yeah, it is, but so is, titty fucker.
Dude, what if that was somebody's last name?
That would be fantastic. Could Mr. Titty Fucker please
Come to the state.
come to row C? Yeah. Say what?
Dude, you have to show your ID.
You would try to
All rise for the Honorable Judge Titty Fucker.
Titty Fucker. You gotta say it's my real name, motherfucker. Discriminate.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hilarious. And you have a judge, Mr. Titty Fucker. God damn it. I can say with a straight face, Mr. Titty Fucker. Is it true that you fucked that woman's titties? Yes, Your Honor.
No, I would never do that.
Why would you ask that?
Why look at me? Why does everyone always accuse me of fucking titties?
Oh, dude, that's terrible. Oh, man.
Oh,
that'd be
God.
a judge right there. That's sexual assault waiting to happen.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. A little bit.
Even funnier is if it was a female judge. Oh, shit.
That would be the icing on the cake.
That would be.
That would be
That'd be
especially if she was like a total anti-feminist female. Like just a hardcore right winger.
Oh,
She would wear like a badge of honor.
Yeah, a placard, her name on a fucking name tag. And her person was Madam La Titty Fucker.
She would insist everyone pronounces every syllable when addressing her.
Oh my god, that'd be the funniest shit.
Oh. Now that's a strong female in authority.
Yeah, no kidding. To have that kind of name and still be
And just own it.
yeah.
And just use it to get power over people. It's beautiful.
Oh shit, dude. You're not allowed to make any more suggestions because
I'm giving them ideas.
you give too many people ideas. Oh shit. Hold on, I need to get more cigarettes.
I need a refill. Be right back.
Oh,
Just let me know when you're back.
I'm here.
Okay, so did you hear? Someone made an edit of The Last Jedi and took all the women and all the humor out.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
It's like
It was the
45 minutes long or something.
yeah. Okay, so I heard about that, but I didn't get it. What was the big idea?
Well, the way it was told to me first by someone I know, they're like, did you hear some MRA made an edit of the Force or The Last Jedi that took all the women out of it?" And I'm like, MRA, is that even a thing anymore? But I didn't say that. But that's what I was thinking. And then of course I looked it up, and all these websites are like MRA, blah blah blah. But it wasn't an MRA. It was just some fucking anonymous guy. It was some troll, and it wasn't even just about taking the women out. It was taking out all the stupid humor and trying to salvage anything from the movie to make it watchable. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't comment on to its quality, but people have been talking about it. And I like that they just instantly labeled it as an MRA thing just because that's what they do now. You can't not like The Last Jedi unless you're an alt-right Nazi troll who hates women and fat Asian chicks.
Well, that's the well, I'm getting kind of back. I'm getting feedback.
From me?
Yeah.
No.
You got me on speaker?
No. I mean, yes. It's usually never a problem though.
Well,
All right. You still getting feedback?
Let me go ahead and try. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine.
Okay.
You sound crystal clear.
Okay, cool. No, I was getting it a lot last time, but I was able to just push on through it. I don't know why my brain's just like stopping right now. So as far as why they blame MRAs for everything, that's the go-to. That's the great boogeyman of late 2010s.
Yeah, it's just as easy as saying alt-right or Nazi. You might as well just, it's how you discredit someone right off the bat.
They are the immoral. The feminists are the moral. We want equality. We want fairness. We want good. Yes. Double plus good. Yes. and that's how it is. If you're not them, you are evil, alt-right, men's rights activist, black, evil, double plus negative, not good. Yes.
Yeah, and you don't want to be that.
Yeah,
It's the
no.
last thing you want to be.
Apparently. One thing I have, and I'm grateful to the internet right now because Gamergate, that was the beginning of the great pushback against social justice, and it's just been cascading from there.
Well, and I think the tides have definitely shifted with The Last Jedi response too. We're not the only ones that feel the way we do. 49% audience response on Rotten Tomatoes. And I went over this in our previous podcast about the state of The Last Jedi in general, but it cannot be understated. This is a failing franchise. They invested so much money just to buy the license, and it's not paying back. So The Last Jedi made $1.1 billion. They get 65% of that if they're lucky. And then you tackle on the marketing budget, which is at least as much as the production budget. It's not looking good for them. And pissing off their fan base and telling them the past is worthless and you have to kill it is not going to sell tickets to their theme parks, which are all being retrofitted to Star Wars nostalgia. Like, what are they doing? Someone's got to be freaking out at Disney corporate. Like, just saying, like, why are you sabotaging our brand? We are investing so much into this. What the fuck? No one is buying Rose action figures.
That's because she's not entertaining. The entire movie was not as entertaining as it should have been. And they're playing social justice, they're playing virtue signaling. Hollywood at least had the decency to keep their politics out of their fucking movies for a while. Now they're letting it infiltrate, and it's not going to end well. They're listening to the minority, the people who believe in social justice, and I'm talking about the hardcore people who are like, white men are the devil, white devil, white devil.
Oh, yeah.
Men are the devil, men are the devil. just like Mama said.
Especially
And
white men.
especially a white man, especially a white straight man. Mama said they the devil.
White straight
And
man with a penis.
with their penises and their testicles and their queermosensuals. Extra sick. But it was a bad move. And you know what? They're going to keep doing it. They're going to keep doing it right up until it really hits home
Yeah.
that it's not going to work, because the people they're pandering to, they don't really care. They're going to get in an internet frenzy mob of, oh my God, shut the fuck up. That's what some Disney executives need to come out and say. Shut the fuck up. Or at least have their PR guy tell that to their PR guy, the one who comes over and says, "We're being called racists, guys. We're being called sexist and transphobes because we don't have the this and this." And it's like, shut up. We don't care. Okay?
Did you see the article from China about how no one wants to see the movie because no one in the movie is attractive?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like they buy Transformers up like a fucking like a motherfucker. Like they eat that shit up, and it's just as brainless and stupid as the worst sci-fi shit you could think of. And they
Yeah.
rejected The Last Jedi. They didn't want anything to do with it.
It's got no pretty people in it. I mean, I guess you could argue that I don't know, that Codebreaker guy, I guess. Maybe
Benicio
Poe.
del Toro. I don't know. Maybe some women find him attractive. When Daisy Ridley is dolled up, she's quite beautiful. And Laura Dern, I've loved her for decades, so she's always going to be super hot to me. But that's it. I mean, not that they looked good in the movie; they were actually uglied up quite a bit, which is a damn shame. I think
Yeah.
that was on purpose too, to make sure Kathleen Kennedy didn't feel threatened.
Mm. Unfortunately, I think a lot of it had to do with this worship of representation. This idea that you have to represent everybody, that the world needs to be shown in cinema, and not everyone is beautiful, and therefore we should show the non-beautiful because representation, because
Yes, that's exactly what they're thinking. And what they forgot is people go to movies to not see themselves. They want to imagine themselves as this better version of themselves, someone who's good looking, someone who's adventurous, someone who is smart, someone who is clever or has a redeeming quality or at least has an arc that they can relate to, someone who is good looking too, because we all like to imagine ourselves as the good looking person. I don't care who you are. Like they forget that, you don't, it's not about them looking like you. It's about you wanting to look like them. And they forgot about that. And now they've just dumbed it down. And so no one's buying Rose action figures. No one's going to buy fucking John Boyega action figures. Like, no, like they're fine actors, but they're not movie stars. And
well,
that's,
and let's put a little honesty. Let's set aside the pride of pretty much everyone watching. They'll deny it flat out. Let's be frank about that. They're going to deny it. But for a lot of people, a lot of movies are imagining you're being with the person, that you are the good-looking guy with the good-looking girl, and you don't have a good-looking girl to be with in this. You don't have a good-looking girl to imagine what would being with her be like. You got Rose, and she's just no. I mean,
she's just abrasive and controlling and terrible.
and does not look nice at all. Does
No.
not look nice at all. And usually I would
She
say
has that dumb puckered look on her face too. She's just like, I object to what I see.
yeah, and we covered the whole nobody has a fucking decent personality in the last podcast. I'm gonna be a shallow motherfucker here, because let's face it, we're all shallow motherfuckers when it comes to movies. At least
That's movies.
that's a big part of it. That is a big part of it. Hollywood, are you listening? That is a big part of it. We don't want to look at ugly people for 2+ hours. I'm sorry if it
No
hurts your
one,
dreaded fifis. We
no one
don't.
should be fat or ugly unless it's part of the story. That's
Yeah.
just a fact. I don't care. Like,
And you really shouldn't make us look at a fat Asian lady running around the galaxy and then into a casino to spout your anti-capitalist propaganda. That was terrible. You didn't make it tie in at all. It was like watching the fucking diner scene from, what was it, Attack of the Clones or the Revenge of the Sith for 45 minutes. It was like watching that. Why?
well, and ironically, their message paid off because they're not making money. So, bravo, Disney. Your anti-capitalist message is really spreading.
Yeah, good job, Disney.
Company that thrives on capitalism.
Fucking. If they would have just gotten an attractive actress, fine. You want to make her Asian? Make her fucking Asian. Cool. Get a little diversity. I don't know what planet she's from.
Swap the sisters. Like the one that died at the beginning was fucking beautiful.
Yeah. Done that. Bam. But I think that they intentionally got the ugly one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Kathleen Kennedy can't have anyone in a movie that's prettier than her. That's the rule.
And I you can call it shallow, and everyone can bitch, whine, and moan that it's shallow. It is shallow. And you know what? That is okay. That is okay. You can sit there and say it's not. You can cry and scream and bitch and whine and moan and complain like you people always do, but it's okay. It's a visual medium. Half visual, half audio. That's the medium, okay? Put pretty people on the screen. It will drive sales. It'll make people want to sit there and watch it rather than try and tear out their eyes because the person they look at resembles a freaking squashed Cheeto.
Well, and you talk about escapism. One of the things that makes I'm just going to pull a hero out of my ass. Captain America, the current incarnation of him with Chris Evans. He's an in shape, tall, good-looking motherfucker, but he's also portrayed as a capable hero. Now, that's someone that you could look to and be like, God, I want to be him, man. That's fucking awesome. Like, I don't look anything like him. I never will. But imagine swap that out with Jack Black. Same exact character, same exact storyline, but he's just a schlub. Balding, fat, just, whatever. Funny, charismatic, and everything, has all the tools to pull off, the character stuff. But I'm going to look at him and be like, I don't want to be that guy. Like, even though he might look like me more than I care to admit, that's not what I want in a movie.
Well,
I don't think anyone wants that.
Well, Jack Black isn't someone you want to be, but he is somebody you want around. He is funny. You'd be like kind of like a friend you would have. You wouldn't imagine yourself as Jack Black, but you would want him around.
Oh, I'm always happy to see him in movies. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. But
I'm cool with him. Yeah,
to be him,
but I don't want to be him.
I don't think anybody has ever inserted themselves in Jack Black in a Jack Black movie. Like even School of Rock. I think most people more identify with the kids than Jack Black himself.
I think that's a good point. School of Rock is a great movie, by the way. Anyone out there should go see it. It's fucking fantastic.
And I enjoyed that movie. I enjoy Jack Black's performances, usually.
Yeah, but he's not someone that you're going to, like, even if, you're overweight or whatever, you don't want to be him in the movie. And maybe in some aspects, but he's not, I don't know. He's not going to be Captain America.
He's not.
You want to be Captain America. You look at him and you're like, that is who I wish I could be. Not because he's blonde and white, but just because he's tall and strong and badass, but he's still kind and caring, and he's your typical hero. And to be quite frank, I'm surprised his character has survived this long in 2018. Not to be current year, but it's shocking to me that he's still Captain America and hasn't been turned into a bad guy by now or something like that.
He did. He was.
What, are you talking about Civil War?
No, I'm talking about in the comic where he said "Hail Hydra."
Okay, comics. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the movies.
Okay.
I'm talking about the movies. Comics are a whole different story. You want to talk about the comic book industry for a little bit?
I know nothing about it.
Okay. Well, basically, yeah, it's in the it is the precursor to what Disney's about to experience after what they did with The Last Jedi and what is about to happen with the Solo movie. But basically, they inserted their social justice agenda into everything. People stopped buying their shit, and then they started calling the fans racist, misogynist. You know the deal. Like the same. It's Gamergate all over again. You know, except this time, instead of it just being journalists, it's people that are actually working in the industry, writing the comic books and doing the art and all that stuff. And yeah, and they're blunt about it. They're just like, fuck the fans, fuck you. We're doing these things, and no one's buying it. And all these comic book shops are going out of business because they have deals with the company, so they have to keep buying this shit, but no one's buying it, so it's rotting on the shelves. It's very, very sad what's happening, and it's just an example of what left-wing social justice politics do to a business when you forget your goals as a business, which is ultimately to make money and please your customers, you know, or please your customers and make money from that should be the only thing any business should be concerned about. Instead, they've forgotten that. And we see that in movies now too. And we've seen that in video games for a while as well. Like they just are so arrogant. They're just like, people are going to buy our shit. They're going to like whatever we throw on it, like as long as it has the right logo, it's going to sell 1 million copies or whatever, and we don't have to put any quality control into it anymore. And it's exactly being replicated in all these other industries, and it's fucking sad, man.
It is sad. I really wish that it didn't go this way, but with the politics of Hollywood, it was inevitable. It really was. And with the culture we have today, I mean, I'm hoping from the digitals, this latest challenge doesn't give me a lot. It really does diminish my hope for the digitals, but I'm really hoping that they come out better for it. I mean, they will. The idiots are killing themselves, so I mean that's not a bad thing. Um, but the digitals are getting it. They're hearing the message from the internet, not the mainstream media. Uh, YouTube. If you've looked at your analytics, if you've looked at the analytics for people like Sargon of Akkad or Teal Deer or those higher end quote unquote skeptical YouTubers, just because I don't know what else to label them all with, they're a lot of their audience is digitals, and I don't know if this was valid or not, but I saw a Tumblr post from someone saying that they were used to like feminists and little girls coming over and getting counseling for that kind of thing. Now they're dealing with kids in like Pepe shirts and talking about the bullshit that guys have to deal with in school and how their teachers are trying to make them feel guilty for being white and shit. And I'm just thinking, God, let that be real. God, let that be real.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Is that a thing though? Like,
I don't know, but I'm praying it is, because if it is, then the backlash is going to come within the next few years. The real backlash.
well,
You've
and I think it's interesting that Star Wars is, I mean, it's my theory that this backlash against Star Wars is so widespread that this is the beginning of the end, and this is the turning point. Left-wing politics and identity politics and SJW shit and feminism is going to be so fucking taboo in the next couple of years. People are going to be so sick of it, and the cultural zeitgeist is going to shift back to, let's just have free speech or whatever, or something, hopefully not anything worse. But I guarantee you, like, this is not going to end well for left wingers. Like, they have pushed they have played all of their cards, and it's been resoundingly rejected. And the elitists keep trying to deny it. They keep trying to say, all these big name YouTubers are coming to the defense of The Last Jedi. YouTube itself is punishing monetized channels that are smaller. It's this extreme overreaction on behalf of those who have a lot of power, telling all the rest of us to shut the fuck up and just consume whatever we are fed and stop having opinions. Otherwise, you're a gross fanboy who lives with your mom, and we're sick of it. And I think everyone is tired of it because none of us fit that description. We're actually all responsible adults and we do our own thing. And by the way, we just don't happen to like your shit movie.
Yeah.
Quit attacking my character. over the fact that you made a shitty movie. It's you can't hide that. And it's happening everywhere. It's comic books, it's movies, it's even in young adult novels. Like, it's a topic I'm not particularly interested in, but I do browse BitChute from time to time, and because I like to support that channels on that site. And I found a blogger that actually is like very passionate about young adult novels and writes for it and everything. And I wish I knew their name now, but SJW shit has infested that too. It's everywhere. It's all these, people that went to college and failed upward because of diversity or whatever. And now all of their profit margins are crumbling. No one's buying their shit. No one wants it. We're at the verge of a revolution right now. They have to change their ways, or people are gonna fucking like burn these places to the ground, figuratively.
Let them. At this point, maybe that's all we need. We need a fucking system restart. I mean, $21 trillion in debt. $21 trillion. I don't think Weimar had that much. The Weimar Republic before Hitler rose to power. I don't think they had that much fucking... Okay, they might have. I think they had like a $1 trillion bill. So, okay, I step back. They might have had that. But for the US dollar to have that much debt, there's going to have to be a reset. This shit can't go on. There's no way to pay that shit off. And with the way the economy is, and I know that a lot of people have faith in it, that things are getting better. No, this is the calm before the storm, because I just heard that China is not going to be buying any more bonds. They're going to look
Jackson,
sure.
You're worried about the wrong thing. What we really need to be talking about is LGBT rights.
You're right. What's the destruction of the dollar compared to a bunch of fags not getting their way?
No, it's about the people have had their feelings hurt at one point. So therefore, we need legislation.
Yeah, no kidding. Zir. You should respect Zir pronouns. That's what's important, guys. That's what's fucking important. God, I hate these people. I hate them, James. I know.
All we talk about is who said this, who did that. Well, I'm offended about this, and now this fringe group wants rights. Like, we never talk about the serious issues, like what is the value of the dollar? Why are we all working hard for less? What the fuck is going on behind the scenes where all this money is disappearing from the Pentagon and like no one is accountable for it? What the fuck? They just keep distracting us with these bullshit fucking Oprah speeches and garbage that doesn't matter.
I want Oprah to run. I want her to get the Democratic nomination.
Oh my God, I will throw up every day of my life if I have to deal with Oprah versus Trump 2020.
Dude, that would be so freaking epic. And just for the sake of hearing leftists defend a fucking, what is that? A social figure, a reality TV star who has no political experience becoming president. I want to see that just for that.
Well, I guarantee you the pictures of her and Harvey Weinstein all kissy faced are going to become a lot more common if that happens.
Oh yeah, and Trump's going to remind the American people. She's going to be, it's not going to be good for her. It really won't be. But yeah, I want to see, Bernie Sanders doesn't have too much of a political scandal that I've seen. You can throw the whole, he's a socialist, but he has 3 houses. And
Bernie Sanders is a fucking moron, but you know what? He's got a soul and he's true to himself. He's always been what he is, and that's fine. I kind of respect that. I don't agree with him about anything. I think he's a moron, but at least he's a human being with a soul. He's not demon spawn, horrible scum mafia boss that murders people.
That we know of. Well,
yeah, again, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. If he has done anything like that, he probably doesn't remember.
Well, Alzheimer's does kick in pretty late.
He's like that grandpa that you're always reminding him, like, no, Dad, you already had breakfast.
No, Dad, you can't take that. That car's not yours. Oh, wait, that's your socialist belief. Never mind. Sorry. Dad, it's not his dementia. He's just a socialist. Dad, you can't take the car. Why not? We need the 1% to pay for it.
I need to drive this car to show my independence because so many black people have suffered.
Sad thing is,
What?
Sad thing is, I could see him making that speech too.
I want to see Christopher Walken do a
Oh,
Bernie
no.
Sanders movie
Oh God,
biopic.
no. Does that be the name of the movie? Wouldn't it? Myopic.
Because I was doing my Bernie Sanders and I felt like I was doing Christopher Walken at the same time, and it seemed like a natural mix.
It kind of does, actually. That's the thing about it. But whenever I think of Bernie Sanders now, I always think of Lowry with Crowder. Every fucking time now. You've heard that, right? Where Crowder imitates Bernie Sanders.
Oh, he's hilarious.
He is, and that's
I don't
why
agree with almost all of his politics, but I find him very engaging and hilarious, and his comedy is usually spot on, especially when he takes the piss out of the left wingers.
Oh yeah, and that's pretty much that's why I like him. I mean, him and Ben Shapiro. Crowder, when it comes to him, he did that recent article on the attack on sex dolls and the whole losers, blah blah blah.
I didn't watch that, but I could imagine what his take on it was. So yeah,
I know it was an article he wrote out, but I'm pretty sure he'll be doing a fucking video on it soon enough.
Did you see Ben Shapiro's debate with Blair White?
No, I did not. I did not. How did that go? I mean, I can't.
It was a love fest. They pretty much agreed on everything, and it was like, yeah, like it was total clickbait titles, like debate in like capital letters with exclamation points. Blair White versus Ben Shapiro, and it was just like, oh yeah, no, everything's cool. Like I don't know. Blair White kind of pissed me off with the whole Candace Owens thing. Do you want to talk about that?
Candace Owens, who dat?
Oh, Red Pill Black.
I've heard of this person.
Oh man, I was so hoping you were up on this topic because it's going to be tough to talk about.
Fuck.
Because I have a bias, and there's definitely a narrative about it that is, I don't know, man. Let me take a piss and think about how I want to approach this. 1 second. Okay. So, you know who Red Pill Black is, right?
I've heard the name. I do not know who it is, though.
All right. Well, she's basically this haughty black woman that came out as like a former SJW that saw the light and took the red pill, and now she was like full in anti-feminism, anti-SJW, whatever. And she got a lot of popularity. She did interviews on all these different I don't know, and anti-SJW, whatever, red pill-ish type sites or whatever, got a lot of popularity.
Okay.
All right. So here's where my personal bias is going to start kicking in, okay? Because this is where the controversy begins, and I think it's fucked up. So I'm going to tell it the way I believe it. If anyone wants to argue with me about it, please feel free. That is, more educated. But here's what I think happened. Tree of Logic. Do you know that channel?
No, I don't.
All right. Okay.
I'm
Well, basically, she's another red pill black woman. Very cool, very articulate. I like her a lot. But she came out and basically exposed a project that Red Pill Black had done a couple years before. That was when she was like still an SJW, and it was basically like how you can report people that say racist things or or offensive things online, and it'll link them to, you know, their real name and their job. Is basically a doxing site. Okay, that was the whole idea. And it was about and she like told this story about how she was bullied and she just wished people were held accountable for what they said online, blah 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 blah. And so Tree of Logic brought this all back to light after Red Pill Black had gotten all this fame as being a red pillar and stuff. And so basically everyone turned on her, and they were like, oh my God, you're in favor of doxing, you're a horrible person. And she was basically burned at the stake. And my take on this whole situation was, damn, isn't that how SJWs act? Like, what the fuck? And segueing that into Blair White, like Blair White pissed me off because she kind of took that stance of like, oh my God, she was in favor of doxing people at one time. Well, fuck her. She was a big liar and con artist the whole time. Anyway, that's my take on the whole thing. I wasn't really a huge fan of the way the supposed red pill community acted. It seemed very reactionary, emotional, and SJW-ish to me. I don't like that we did that. It reminded me of how kind of the SJWs reacted to Lacey Green when she did the whole red pill thing. Honestly.
Now, see, I might have to disagree with you because with social justice warriors, you can forgive them because they believe that they're doing good, that they're still doing a good thing by helping, you know, oppressed peoples, what they perceive as oppressed peoples. I mean, women are obviously, you know, much more privileged than men are. And I guess you could make the argument that blacks and other minorities are doing lesser than they're capable of. But to advocate doxing, sorry, that might be something to hold somebody to account for. That's pretty bad.
There's two things I want to say about that. Doxing can be a bad thing to an extent, but otherwise, I don't get what the big deal is, and I want to qualify this. I'm more than happy to give anyone my home address. They want to fucking try and stalk me. Like no one is that motivated. No matter how much I piss someone off on any of these podcasts or anything I say on Facebook, I guarantee you they will never ever come to my house and try to like hurt me. No one is that motivated. No matter how psycho you are, you're just, it's not going to happen. So I'm not, when it comes to personal safety, I'm not worried about that. When it comes to fucking with your job, there we have some issue, you know, like then I think, okay, that's different because no employer wants to be inundated with negative emails from a bunch of fucking, you know, fat ass SJWs that have nothing better to do with their time other than ruin your life. And employers do respond to that kind of pressure, and they do fire people. So that is definitely a problem. But that's just my take on doxing in general. I don't think it's as big as a deal as most people make it out to be, but at the same time, you can be targeted, you know, by the SJW hate mob for something that you said that is very, very inoffensive, but can be twisted in a way to be offensive. And the employer's not going to even care about the substance of what you actually said. They're going to just want the problem to go away. And if firing you is going to make the problem go away, then they'll do it. And that's the real problem right there.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, where the primary disagreement comes from, because that's what that kind of thing is meant to do. Show somebody where somebody lives, yeah, kind of a chance of doxing, fake pizza deliveries, whatever. But when they say hold to account, that's what they mean is employers, people who are above you, your superiors, the people who can fuck you over. And that's what they want. And to that extent, Blair White saying, yeah, that's pretty fucked up, and condemning her for it and holding her to that, yeah, I'm sorry, but changing sides does not erase something like that. I don't care if you've seen the light. Did she address that she did that and came out and publicly apologized, destroyed the site and whatnot?
Yeah, that was the whole thing. She came out and said the site was cut off and it was no longer a thing. And I've seen conflicting arguments from different people saying no, it actually was still active. It just never was anything. It was never connected to a database, but you could still like submit people's names, but not get results. And I've seen that from everything to no, like you go to the site and it gets empty URL. So, I don't really know at all. My issue is like whether the doxing thing is real or not. What I hate is the SJW-ish response that really made me cringe. Like we cannot be the moral police. We're just not. Like if someone has done something in the past and they've moved on from it, then we need to be cool with that. I don't see what the point is of crucifying someone over, something they did years ago that they've already moved on from and have disavowed. Darren!
Hi, James. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you loud and clear, buddy. Good to see you.
How's everyone today?
Good, man. How are you?
Not bad. Hi, Dax. You still got
Hey,
a problem
dude,
with the red eye, eh?
With the what?
You still got a problem with the red eye, eh?
Oh yeah, always.
A little bit of Clear Eyes, maximum strength would clear that up for you. You might feel better too.
For
Nah.
the longest time, I didn't look close enough to realize that it was actually a clock.
That's
Oh,
what all of my freaking avatars have eyes with clocks in them. I call it the clock eye.
Clock eye.
Clock eye.
No, as long as you're not a clock sucker.
Oh my god!
Nice. But back to what you're saying. I mean, I guess I can see where you're coming from with respect to people should move on. It's just by the same token, that was pretty fucked up. That's not really an SJW thing. I'd call that more of a holding somebody to what they've done type deal. And I would let it go after a bit more time. I mean, this is like the Harvey Weinstein thing or the Bill Cosby thing. Things that happened 30, 40 years ago, and people are trying to now hold people to account for it, right?
Right, yeah. Like that's what I hate. Like I don't know. Like I've done some stupid shit that I regret that is cringy in the past, and I've moved on from it, and I hope like been redeemed from it by now. But what if someone dug that up and they're like, "Oh my god," and I'm going to hold you that same standard when you've already gone through that journey and moved on from it. Like,
oh, this is it. People grow up, eh? And some faster than others, So trying to drag something out of the closet that took place 30, 40 years ago is, in my opinion, pretty stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, generally, I agree. And specifically with Candace Owens, it's what 2 years ago, but still, he already. I don't know. Like, and it's a bigger issue. I could probably like look up some videos and we can discuss them, but that would take over the majority of the stream, and we got other things to talk about. Now that Darren's here, we got actually something.
Questions about CDL or something?
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to know?
I don't know. That's up to Dax. Like, there was something earlier you asked me, and I'm like, I wish Darren was here.
Yeah, so I just got back from the DMV because my medical card expired.
Yep.
And I was applying for a job up in the oil fields up in Denver, and they said that my license was canceled. So I nearly should a brick at that.
Sure.
And turns out all I needed to do was get my DOT physical done, and suddenly it's no longer canceled. And so from there, I need to get my hazmat and tanker endorsements.
Okay. Well, you'll probably have to go back to a recognized school for those endorsements. I don't know why they do that down there, because like here in Canada, it's a little different. The condition of my Class A license, or what you call a CDL, Up until the age of 35, I have to submit a medical at least once every 2 years. And then after 35, one every year after. And we used to carry what they call an ICC medical card, which the U.S. drivers had to have by law, and I think they still do. Now the U.S. accepts the Canadian driver's license as a proof of medical fitness. So we're no longer required to carry the ICC card, but I still think the U.S. drivers are required to have one on them, certifying that they're, physically capable of operating heavy equipment. The hazmat endorsements here only requires that if we work for a specific company, we have to be trained by that company and given a card to carry by that company. That's only good for 3 years, and to haul hazmats or hazardous materials. And basically, if you change employers and whatnot, then you got to do dangerous goods all over again and get another card. Where I think in the United States, they put the endorsement on their CDL license for hazmat.
Yeah, with the here, all we have to do is take a written test for pretty much any endorsement, except us.
Okay, so you'd have to probably do, but then again, imagine with your CDL, you have to have an air brake ticket anyways. So, on our licenses, Class A is your license, Z is your air brake endorsement, or sorry, Z in your case. But
weird numbered letter things. Can't you be normal like Americans and eat Tide Pods?
Well, yeah, we tried that once, but it just didn't help. Look what we got: Trudeau for Prime Minister.
I am so sorry.
But yeah, I know. I'm sorry too. We all are. But hopefully we'll get rid of him in about 2 more years. We're ready to boot out the one in Ontario.
Best of luck. I wish all Providence Canada the best of luck. Yeah, definitely. Well, it'd be easier if you guys just come up here and take us over. I ain't gonna fight you. No.
I get my gun rights back too.
That we might be able to help with at some point.
Sure. I can actually fight back if I have to. But yeah, as far as I know, you'll probably have to go to some truck driving institute and redo those tickets if you're doing hazmats. The testing, anyways, for sure. And what was the other one you said?
Tanker. So it's going to be.
Oh, for tanker, yeah.
So it's going to be
well, okay, so. Yeah, you got to go through that training, and if you're hauling hazmats in a tanker, you're going to have a whole new issue now because you have to carry another card certifying that you're not a damn terrorist.
Oh no, seriously, he's not. Yep. He's not joking. I got to go. No,
I'm not joking. You're basically that you're not going to be driving that truck around like a bomb. So, and that's an issue by the Department of Homeland Security.
I'm okay with that. I'm fine with
it. Yeah,
I got no problem with that at all.
Yeah.
Well, just what triggered this whole thing off is one post 9/11, and then some jackass in a big truck decided to slam the thing up into the Sacramento State House or something like that.
Yeah, it's if you're applying for an HME on a CDL form, any of the TSA agent states, you can apply online for getting a hazmat. So I have to go to the TSA, wait for a 3-week background check to come back.
That's right. Yeah.
As if dealing with the DOT wasn't enough.
Well, that's why I don't do tankers anymore.
Don't blame you.
Yeah. 1, I get hassled horribly at the border. 2, initially it was just the U.S. drivers that required it. Now the Canadian drivers have to have it as well. And it's that much more attention you get when you pull up to the bridge, right? So.
Oh yeah. Especially.
It's just easier for me to do flatbed. They don't care if I got a big old ground digger on the back or a big chunk of steel or something. That doesn't look threatening to them.
Unfortunately, I'm going to be carrying. Well, if I'm understanding it right, I'll be carrying biocide.
Biocide. Oh.
Yeah.
There's a big word. You might pollute the groundwater with it and poison the whole country.
Yeah. And he does have the potential to do that. He's not joking.
Yeah. Well, even that aside, it's pretty much any load that has a certain class of hazmats on is going to be carefully scrutinized, whether it's at the borders or whether at the scale house or you're pulled over by law enforcement. You got placards on, you got a certain category of hazmats. They're going to look at you real close.
Well, the thing is, I'll be going for fracking, and I'll just be taking the stuff out to site.
Sure.
And, I'm hoping to God I don't have a fucking way station on the way.
Yeah.
I really do not want to deal with that shit again.
Okay, is this up in the Dakotas?
No, it'll be in Colorado.
Oh, Colorado.
I'm not going back to North Dakota unless I
Well,
absolutely
depending
have
on
to.
how far you go in Colorado, like if you're like in the greater Denver area and stuff like that, there's really not too much out there. Like if you're going north on 25, you're going to hit Fort Collins. That's one way scale there. If you're going up 76 there towards North Platte, Nebraska, there's one at oh shit, forgot the name of that damn town. Anyways, about 30 miles up the road. Anyways, so
okay.
goes south to New Mexico. There's not one until you're almost down to the line.
Nice. Okay, so James, I'm sorry. When it comes to inspections for so when you get to a what do I just call them? A way
I don't
station.
even know what you're talking about.
Oh, way station, scale house, way station.
Oh, way station. Oh, those checkpoints where they're like trucks have to like go
truck
away.
inspection station, way station, same thing.
Some shit, yeah.
We truckers just slanguly call it the scale house of the chicken coop.
So no, if the DOT decides to do a real honest to God inspection, no truck will pass it. If they decide to get really anal about it, even trucks right off the line, off the assembly line, will fail. If they decide to go with every little inspection they can think of.
Oh yeah, they'll find something wrong if they want to.
And you get fined. You get fined personally.
Yeah. Well, it gets more worse too if you're doing
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because if there's just one thing missed on the paperwork or not properly applied or whatever, that'll get you in a shitload of trouble too, and the fines are huge.
They are
for hazmat violations. Yeah.
So
yeah, 200,000 plus 2 years in jail minimum. Yeah.
So that's why I'm not too interested in dealing with the CDL stuff. But for my job, I gotta have it, and I got no problem driving trucks except when it comes to backing up. That's the issue. I can't.
Oh, nobody learns to back up good right away. It's just something that comes with time.
Well,
trial and error.
I rub two trucks together.
Practice in your yard, that kind of thing. Yeah.
So I'm trying to get this awesome dude William Stone to come join us. He's probably watching us right now, but I've been watching his videos for a while, and I hit him up recently saying he should join our podcast. He would totally fit in with us. He originally got my attention when he did he titled a video an old fans review of Star Trek Discovery when it first came out. And he was one of the few people that actually called it out for the bullshit that it was. And I've been following him ever since. So hopefully I can get him to join. I just posted the link in the chat. So join us, brother. We need more old fans. Old fans of sci-fi.
Just beam them down.
That's right.
Just beam them down.
To be fair, I'm not that young.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just wanted to throw that shout out to my bro, William Stone.
Well done.
Join us, my man.
So the
Hey James.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Das.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say nothing. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just noticing some steam back there behind James coming off of one of his
starships. Show the laser effects. Do you see that?
Oh yeah, is it a vaporizer or something?
Yeah. It's vapor.
Or one of those essential oil things.
No. Fuck no. Essential oils are actually toxic to cats.
Yeah, it almost looks like the model that's beside it's like taking off, and blowing steam to the ground,
Yeah, it's basically steam. It shows off the laser effects. Isn't that sweet?
That's fucking awesome.
Neat. Yeah, sure. The boldly go where no man has gone before.
I spent all this time making this shit. I'm going to show it off on the podcast.
Now, James, I just got to ask. You've been commenting a lot on the Star Wars thing lately. Are you and Sam Al having a big headbutt over this, or what?
Oh man,
I saw he and DT were.
Yeah,
I argue with a lot of people about Last Jedi. I'm just gonna say that. All right. And here's the thing. It is a question of objectivity and taste. The Last Jedi. I'm not a fanboy of Star Wars. Okay, I'm not. Clearly I'm a Star Trek guy. Star Wars has always been my enemy. Like, I'm just going to be honest about that. Like, Star Wars fanboys were always the people that I hated. So I'm not coming to their defense, and I'm not being like, oh my God, it's not true to the mythology. Because while I've liked Star Wars and I've kind of respected the original trilogy, I've never liked anything beyond that. When I saw The Last Jedi, I saw a movie that actively hated me watching it. Like, that told me that, you want to enjoy this? Well, fuck you. And, like, I went in with no expectations. I went into it thinking, okay, maybe I'll get some good space battles and whatever, and go away just being like, yay. But it was a movie that actively told me that it hated me. And I've never seen a movie that actually did that before. And even beyond that, it is filled with plot holes, bad humor, and nothing about any of the logical progression of the plot makes any goddamn sense at all. It is an objective nightmare. Like, if you were to break it down on a script writing like diorama, it's a fucking mess. So anyone that comes out and says I liked it, I question your judgment entirely. Like, I'm like, what? There's nothing to like about this movie. There's no joy. There's no sense of adventure. There's no artistic merit. Everything is bland and gross. You have one scene where things are red, and you have another scene where things are red and white, and then you have another scene where things are white, and then you have another scene where things are black, and you have another scene where things are island, and it's rainy, and it's not a pretty movie. It's like 2.5 hours of misery, and it's like, fuck you, you have to like it. It's got the Star Wars label on it, and I find it particularly insulting. So when someone says that they like it, I wonder where they're coming from. Why should I respect their opinion on movies altogether? Because this is the Highlander 2 of Star Wars. And if anyone wants to defend Highlander 2, they would have the exact same ground to stand on by defending The Last Jedi. It is that objectively bad.
James, you must come to the dark side.
Oh boy.
And I'm sorry, no multi-million-dollar marketing campaign is going to tell me what I saw wasn't what I saw.
I only saw the first movie like back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I had friends that were just going nuts over it. They were going to see it, probably some of them as much as 45 times. We went to see, I think, maybe twice, and I liked it. The first movie, but I lost track of it all after that. I just didn't. I grew up on Star Trek, actually, more than I did Star Wars.
I'm surrounded by Trekkies.
Wow, that's weird. Usually everyone in their
the 1970s version and stuff like that. The original series Star Trek.
I don't think people want to admit to being Star Wars fans anymore. Like, there's so much hate directed against Star Wars fans right now. It's like, oh, you're a fan of Star Wars? Well, fuck you. Which seems like a really bad idea when you're retrofitting all your theme parks to be Star Wars themed.
Strangely.
James, you're looking at this from the perspective of a capitalist who wants to make money. You're already evil, okay? Your entire thought process there is evil, patriarchy, and God damn it, you are a bad person.
Pretty much. Like, they would live in if they had their own way, they would retrofit all the Star Wars parks and spend all that money. No one would go see it, but they would lobby the government to force us to go see it somehow. You have to go pay $65 a ticket for a 45-minute pass, and you get to stand in line and then leave before you get to ride one ride.
And then after Star Wars, I got into Battlestar Galactica.
Battlestar Galactica is pretty great.
Yeah, it had some awesome stuff. Yeah.
I watched a little bit of it.
Yeah. Well, I saw the parallel between the two separate series between the original Star Trek and whatnot.
So are you talking about the original Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah, with Dirk Benedict and Lauren Green was the captain.
Okay, I only saw the the original pilot 2-parter movie of that. I never watched the whole series, but it was fucking weird. It was very Star Wars-ish.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah. It was all over the place. They had weird droids and sexy ladies and crazy aliens.
And the actual enemy was only one surviving Cylon that controlled a whole fleet of robots carrying wicked-looking weapons. Actually, their weapons were modified USM-60 general-purpose machine guns, or light machine guns. Vietnam era, but they had sort of a futuristic look to them. They used them in Star Wars too. They stick out like a sore thumb whenever I see them. Right. I only employed one once, and that was on an exercise with a bunch of U.S. National Guardsmen down in Pennsylvania many years ago.
Awesome.
But that was fun. But, the Cylons carry these around. And, of course, they throw in the special effects lasers from them and all that stuff.
God, the Cylons were a timeless design, weren't they?
Sort of, yeah.
I think they were cool as shit. I'm going to pull up an image right now.
Yeah. With that little red eye going back and forth across the screen of their eyeball.
Yes.
Remember them? The freakiest one was the commanding officer of the whole bunch of them. He'd have a clear skull or head, and you could see the lights floating around inside of it.
Oh my God, yeah, they got all creepy with that.
Yeah. They had sort of a humanesque face, but their top of their head was kind of conical and clear. Yeah, that's them.
All right, so here's the original Cylon there.
Yeah, with the red laser eye going back and forth.
That's cool as shit, man.
Yeah. And there was
and then they did then they did these for the reboot series, which was pretty great.
Yeah, it looks different.
Yeah. A little more intimidating, a little more badass, but
I always thought it was like a big V. I'm assuming that the red part goes back and forth, laser, or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, it totally does. It's like woo, woo,
yeah.
Woo, woo.
Yeah.
Did you watch the new series or the newer series?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, it's good.
I don't really watch a lot of TV anymore. Just as I get older, there's really not a lot on there that interests me.
Well, the reimagined Battlestar was actually a great story, especially if you're into really militaristic stories. Like they ran their ship, very, very true to how you would imagine a military ship being, especially under the tight circumstances that they were in. And I don't know, Dax, did you see the reimagined Battlestar?
I didn't see. I saw the reimagined one. I didn't see the original, and I did not get into Battlestar Galactica too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, see, I'm again, I'm a product of my generation,
right?
So we always think the original is the best. I still think the original Star Trek is better. I can't get into the Next Generation series or whatever, as hard as I try.
Okay, so on that topic, did you hear, because Quentin Tarantino is going to do the next Star Trek, apparently, and he's a big fan of the original 1966 series.
I'm not surprised.
I still say it's a bad idea.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, I'm torn.
Usually when they do sequels, it's like Ghostbusters, okay? The first Ghostbusters was hilarious. It was funny. It had a really good cast of well-known stars that were already established. Second one, and this more recent one where they're all a bunch of women and stuff like that, I knew it was going to be a big flop.
Well, that's because you're sexist.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I guess.
Sexist.
But I knew it was going to be a big flop, and sure enough, it did, because usually sequels seldom ever. Here's a weird thing which I don't understand. The sequels to movies like this seldom ever succeed. Very seldom. But yet something like Rocky. Okay, how many sequels to Rocky did we have before it finally stopped? Like 12, 13?
Well, I guess there's 6. And and I guess the quality of the movies are all debatable. I love them all, but I can understand why certain people wouldn't love all of them. But
But for the most part, as a general rule, when they make a sequel to something or a continuation, it seldom goes to more than 2 or 3, and then they flop. They just box office duds, right?
Sadly.
Cheap movies at the $2 stand at Walmart.
It's sad because they could do a lot more. I don't know where this obsession came from of let's remake everything. I guess they don't want to take the risk of, you know, having a flop, which I get. I do. I understand it. They don't want to, take the risk of something new that people aren't going to like. So what are they going to do? They're going to go with everyone loves Star Wars. Let's do Star Wars. And it's unfortunate because we live in times now with amazing effect possibilities with human labor out the ass that could make amazing things happen. But everyone's so paranoid about, what's going to work, what's going to offend, what's not going to offend, that we're stuck in this goddamn loop of, possibilities that are just squandered.
Yeah, because they got to make it so it satisfies everybody with an axe to grind.
And it ends up satisfying nobody.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. Not only that, there's probably creative writers out there, or people that do these scenes and stuff like that have some wonderful ideas, but they can't throw them out because feminism or some social justice warriors or some political mandate or something like that forbids them from doing it. So their creativity goes to waste, or they just give up.
Yeah, and I have no love for that. I acknowledge it as the fact that it is, and it's really not. I don't really put it so much on the. I don't put it so much on the social justice warriors. I put it on Hollywood. I put it on the producers because they're responsible. They're the ones who make these fucking movies. They are the ones who do it. I can't blame. Fine. Feminism and social justice gave them the gun, but Hollywood's the one who pulled the trigger.
Sure. Well, this isn't quite Hollywood, but I remember a number of years ago when they tried to pull Speedy Gonzalez off the air.
What?
Yeah, because it was supposedly making fun of Mexicans, or it was insulting to Mexicans, and they tried to pull the character Speedy Gonzalez off the air of the cartoons channels, and they got a big uproar over it. And the funny thing is, it wasn't from the mainstream America, if you'll say. It was mostly the Hispanic people that were complaining, because apparently they were pretty fond of the character.
Yeah, that was.
They weren't offended by it at all. But a bunch of big top executives with a bunch of, I guess you could say, bellyachers in their ranks decided that somehow it's offensive to Hispanic Americans. Was Chico the Man just as offensive? I didn't think so.
Well, no, but anything that can be construed as offensive today is offensive, and it really doesn't do anyone any favors. It limits. No. It tells people, weak. They're weak. Don't look at them cross-eyed. You want them to get offended and start crying like little bitches.
And pretty much, what's the worst thing that Speedy Gonzalez ever says? Angle, angle.
Huh?
Arriba, arriba.
Yep.
Yeah. But they made such a big stink about it, and when they tried to pull it, the Spanish American population jumped in and said, "Hey, are you out of your fucking minds? Bring them back."
Yeah, try and play Mr. White savior complex and shit.
Yeah. And yet, they've had TV shows in the past that were pretty much counter to the culture of the day, and they allowed them to stay on and didn't make a big complaint about it.
I
The other thing too that is they always seem to use television to push cultural narratives.
oh yeah,
Without I don't think people really like that.
they don't.
Well, I'll give an example. Like the most recent example would be a show that's on TV called Modern Family. Okay,
All right.
fine. They got a couple of gay guys that are in it, or a couple, whatever. But the way they push it, they make it so obvious what the agenda is. You know, uh, that it's not as if we haven't had shows before that did display gay couples without being so in your face. You
Yeah.
know, that's what's annoying. It's you can tell they're trying to push something, and they always do it very subtle. It's a trickle at a time. Do you remember the original film Brokeback Mountain?
I never saw it. I heard of
No,
it.
neither did I. But anyways,
It's two gay cowboys eating pudding.
yeah. Once that film came out, I knew eventually the fucking doors and gates were going to just fucking swing wide open for all this shit that we're getting now. Sure enough, it has. But they feed it to you in little bits so that when it finally comes down the pipe, you don't seem so fucking stunned by it. You know, it's like, oh wow, where the hell did this come from? You know.
Yeah.
So they just give it to you a trickle at a time till you get used to it. Then, boop, there it is.
And then that's the gay agenda.
Yeah, that seems to be what Hollywood does best.
That's them queer homosexuals, all right.
Bend over, Billy. Woo, yeehaw.
You a squeal!
Like a pig. Hey, that was a good movie, man. Deliverance? Oh, God. I couldn't sleep for a fucking week
I've never
after
seen
watching
Deliverance.
that.
I can't do it.
When I was a fucking kid, I couldn't fucking sleep for a week after that, especially if we knew we were going camping.
Don't blame you, man. I never saw the movie, but if I did, I'd be very, very protective of myself for a while.
Well, the handiest actor in the whole movie is Burt Reynolds. This is back when he was still pretty young. The other main actor in the movie is Ned Beatty. It's actually a really good movie, especially when it shows you the backwoods of the Ozarks or wherever the hillbillies were and shit like that. And back at that period of time in the 70s and whatnot was when a lot of construction projects were going on to build hydroelectric dams and stuff for energy. And
well, I'm a well-known horror film fanatic. I love gore and dark situations and fucked up shit, but I don't think I can bring myself to watch that.
No. Believe it or not, it's you don't really actually see anything bad happen. It's just suggestive, you know.
It's even worse though. That's the best thing about movies in the 70s. Like they captured that shit. They made you horrified. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. All the horror is assumed, you know. Like you don't really see any gore.
Yeah, well, the thing with Deliverance, you don't really see Ned Beatty getting cornholed up the butt by a hillbilly.
Well, thank God for that.
And his partner tied to the tree when the big tall hillbilly says he's got a pretty mouth. You know, shit. You don't see any of that. But there's some interesting parallels in that movie. In one of the scenes, this character named Drew starts to play dueling banjos on his guitar. And there's this kid that looks like really inbred. You know, squinty eye, kind of looks sort of, you know, halfway to mongoloid. And he's playing the banjo. And they play a good run of dueling banjos. And at some point, the dude who plays the guitar says, "You want to play again, kid?" And then suddenly the boy just turns his head away to the side like he's looking in another direction or avoiding any eye contact with him. And the reason he did that is because they would get Ned Beatty to walk up behind Drew, the guitar player. And apparently this boy actor didn't particularly like Ned Beatty. So every time Ned Beatty got close, he'd turn his head. The rape scene, at one point after Ned Beatty gets raped by one of the hillbillies, and Burt Reynolds kills him with an arrow. They're burying his body. And originally they were going to take that part out of the movie because they thought it would be too offensive for the crowd of the day.
Yeah.
But they basically wanted to draw a parallel.
Too offensive for the 70s seems
yeah.
a misnomer. I think that was the height of the lack of sensitivity, to be quite honest.
It wasn't that. It was just a thing that just wasn't talked about so much back then. It was socially taboo. You just didn't talk about that shit. And if you did, people.
The 70s seemed like the era of exploration. Like everyone did everything, and nothing was offensive at all. Like we only started to get more politically correct later, as we.
That depended on what it is. I didn't really start experiencing the political correctness thing until about probably around somewhere mid 90s.
Yeah, I think that's when it became mainstream. But I think the hippie feminism, maybe second, third wave feminism was really starting to hit in the 80s because I remember being in elementary school and it was all about sunshine and rainbows and accept everyone, whether they're brown, pink, red, purple, blue with polka dots on your head. Like there's all these fucking like animations and shit that we were just inbred with. Yeah. And so
I was already getting into my 30s and the early 90s. So
well, that's why I always point to the 80s as like the ultimate, like whenever people go back and be like, hey, the 80s were like still just like the 60s. Like, no, the 80s were very liberal still. Like just because Ronald Reagan was the president and a lot of American flags were featured in toxic masculine action movies, it doesn't mean like black people were like still like slaves and gay people were hunted in the streets. Like,
but I just wanted to point out fast the scene where he is raped by the hillbilly. I was watching a documentary program one time where they were talking to Ned Beatty. He said the only reason they included that part in the film and the part later when they're burying the hillbilly's body after they kill him, Ned looks up at the other three guys and says, please don't let anybody know about this. And while they're burying the body. And they all just kind of stare at him, sort of lost in their thoughts. And the only reason they included that scene is they just wanted to prove that a man being raped would go through the same sort of feelings of humiliation and feeling dirty as a woman would be. Otherwise, they're going to originally cut that part of the film. Yeah, they sat on it for quite a bit before they decided to leave that part in, and that's the point that they wanted to make with the movie was that a man would feel the same circumstances being sexually molested as a woman. And Ned expresses that when he looks at the other men and says, "I don't want anyone to find out about this," And then they have a hell of a journey down to civilization, but eventually this reservoir floods over. They get rid of the bodies, and it ends with this guy's nightmare. One of the bodies floating to the surface. Like I said, it's not a graphic movie. Like I said, it's just suggestive. You get the picture, sort of thing.
Yeah, it sounds like a downer.
It's not bad. It's not that bad.
All right.
It's just four guys going on a canoe trip to check out an area of forest that's still pristine and nice and everything like that, just before they flood it and turn it into a hydroelectric project. And they run into all the wrong people out in the bush. Kind of like something like there's another movie running along the same lines, but called The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh man, yeah. Actually, I was just thinking about The Last House on the Left.
That got me thinking about the new Halloween movie.
Yeah,
I know. I got totally in a horror movie now, like mood.
Well, yeah, I'm hearing about somebody getting raped. Is there another movie that comes to mind? Because romantic comedy doesn't shoot up.
What? 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Which you can get away with as long as you're a billionaire with a big wallet. You can do anything you want. So maybe Trump was right. You can grab him by the pussy.
That movie's fucked up. Like I haven't seen it, but I've seen the highlights And, holy shit! Like this movie actually got women horny. That's insane to me.
Well, it's a well-known fact that a lot of women have rape fantasies.
It's true, they do.
They do.
I
And
don't
yet,
remember the exact number, but yeah, that is. I think one of the top fantasies for women is a rape fantasy.
well, here's a reality, okay? You've heard of books like Harlequin romance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, romance novels that women read, not just Harlequin, but many others. Um, anyways, they do a survey every year from all countries in the world where these books are sold, and mostly to women, obviously. And they did a review and they did a survey, and they wanted a breakdown of what kinds of romance novels or what they want to see in romance novels, among the majority of the female readership. And it kind of started off something like this: dominant man, submissive female. Then went down to dominant man, two submissive females. Then I went down to dominant man, dominant female, submissive female. Then I went down to dominant man, submissive male. Then I went down to dominant man, two dominant females. And it worked its way down the list. And at the very, very, very bottom of the list was dominant woman, submissive male. See the picture? Okay?
Yep.
That's what women want to see. So it's true. Women don't like nice guys. They don't.
The only one who doesn't believe that are the nice guys.
That's right. They and that review and that poll taken points that out very clearly. That these chicks like aggressive, strong, masculine males.
Yes, but
Yeah.
with caution.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You have to be someone they desire before you
Well,
do that.
Yeah, there's that.
And that's the linchpin of this whole discussion. And capturing women's desire is key. Like, as long as you do that, you can be anything, actually.
But as I was pointing out here, they would rather see something that involves two gay men than one submissive male with a dominant female. Which is much higher on the list.
I'm not doubting your data, but that's not my experience. Most women I know and have been intimate with think the idea of two men together is pretty gross.
Well, it's interesting that men generally don't like the idea of two men together as anything but gross.
Yeah,
but they don't have a problem with two women.
I think if you hate men, you want to see them fuck each other. Yeah. I think that's the issue.
Are you saying homosexuals are man haters?
A lot of them are. So? Yeah, a certain element of them are, for sure. I define them as the militants. But the survey just points out the women's preferences, and like I said, they would much rather watch two gay guys go at it, and way at the bottom of the list there, that one submissive male with a dominant female. It just doesn't go over. Now,
I think the women that want to see gay men go at it are probably very feminist and compensating in some way.
Perhaps.
Like, I don't think that's a natural turn on for women. I think it's agenda driven. I think it's been cultivated.
Like you said, that hasn't always been your experience, and that also points out another thing. That kind of outlook or demographic could vary from one country to the next, one region of the country to the next.
I've never ever met a woman, and I've dated some pretty crazy bitches, and none of them have ever wanted a male on male, one female threesome. Like, none of them. Well, they're always like, no, that just seems gross. I'm like, okay, great.
It's not at the top of the list. Again, at the top of the list is still a dominant male with a submissive female.
Right. That's
they're like dominant male with two submissive females, and so on and so forth. And then somewhere in the middle, the two gay guys, and then two gay women, and then all the way down. Well, actually, the two gay women were above the men.
Well, the gay guy fantasy, I think, comes down to a power fantasy. They it's not sexual at all at that point. It's probably not even a turn on. It's just about, yeah, fuck you. You know, fuck each other.
But I would suppose some too.
I think there's probably a small minority of women that get off on it, but I think it's very,
Yeah.
very, very small.
Or maybe it's just a curiosity factor. They want to see how two guys get it on. Because most women already know how two girls get it on, right? Who knows?
I don't want to see two women get it on. I want to see two women on me. I don't care if they touch each other all night. Like,
as long as it's addictive.
It's all about me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's every guy's fantasy, but I don't know. I don't think I can handle all that.
No, but it never happens. Like,
and you can only shoot once, anyways, and then you have to wait a while and reload. So
He's got a point. He's got a point.
One's enough for me.
Any other good movies? You guys ever see Logan's Run?
Yes, I loved Logan's Run. That was a great movie.
Isn't it an amazing movie? I love it.
That was a fucking awesome movie. Yes. Oh God, I'm trying to remember the actor's name. Shit.
It's nobody. Like, he never did anything else.
Oh, he did some other movies. He just had secondary roles and stuff. But Dick, I think his last name was York. Anyways, not Dick York from like Bewitched or like that, but it had Farrah Fawcett Majors in it.
Yes, it was a cameo.
When she was really, really hot.
It was a glorified cameo. They advertised her in the poster, but she was barely in it. And she was just like the horny nurse that was just like.
She's classic dumb blonde and everything else, right? But
have you seen Dex? Do you know what we're talking about at all?
No idea. Sorry, guys.
Oh man.
Well,
let's talk about Logan's Run for a second. Let's describe it.
I'll describe it to you. It's a future city after the world's been long destroyed from nuclear war or whatever, and they live in these domed cities. And when they're born, Dax, they come with a like a round disc on their palm of their hand, right?
Okay.
And depending on the color of the disc, from the time you're born, like when you're born, it's probably silver. When you reach a certain age, it goes to green, and then another age, it goes to
when you turn 30, you have to die.
When you turn 30, it starts flashing bright red off and on. And when you reach 30, you have to go to this mysterious auditorium called Carousel, right?
Okay.
And the thing is, when they go into the carousel, they think they're being renewed, right? They think that they're going to be renewed and start over again. But because the city can only support so many denizens and whatnot, it's set up so that once they reach a certain age, they have to be exterminated. And they think they're going into the carousel to be renewed, but in fact, they're going in there to be exterminated. And they wear a suit, their faces aren't visible, and they're all pulled in by a certain date and time. So anyone that was born Capricorn 13, whatever, that's when they'd have to go to carousel to be renewed. And
it's fucking great.
They put on these really
sexy sci-fi chicks in this movie.
And what ends up happening is they go to the carousel. They're basically getting destroyed, and they don't know it. Now, some of the people that are trying to flee to sanctuary are aware that the carousel is death. It's not renewal. So they try to run it. They're called runners. And when they try to run, there's a group of futuristic. If you look at the picture that James is showing here, the black suit.
This is our main character here.
Right. Yeah.
And this is a hooker that he summons up that doesn't want to fuck him.
Okay. Anyways,
and so he falls in love with her as a result of that.
Yeah. The character you see here is sort of like a future police officer. They're called Sandmen, or a Sandman. And the Sandman's job is to go out and capture these runners or destroy them. And they basically, while everybody's preoccupied watching Carousel and supposedly watching their relatives or whatever being renewed, these Sandmen are out hunting down the runners and killing them. And then basically having them exterminated and then removed before the Carousel ends and all the people come back out into the city. And nobody knows what's going on. But there's a small circle of people within this city who are aware of what Carousel really is, and they know it's not about renewal. And they're organized to try to escape the city and go to a place called Sanctuary. And their key to Sanctuary is symbolized by an ankh, I don't know if you know what an ankh is.
No, I do not.
Okay, an ankh is a symbolic piece of jewelry. It looks kind of like a cross, but with loops, right,
Okay.
at the top. But anyhow, that's a symbol of sanctuary. Eventually, Logan runs. They try to get him to disguise himself as a runner initially, but then he decides to go over to the sanctuary seekers and quit the Dome City altogether with this girl called Jessica.
Basically, it's a fantasy like of a sci-fi city where everyone is young and hot, and when you get old and ugly, you have to die.
That's right. When you turn 30 years of age, your time's up. You go to a carousel and get renewed.
Yeah, and they enlist this guy who's basically a cop to infiltrate the people that are resistance. And,
that's right.
Yeah, and that's the elevator pitch of it. But it's fucking great because they segregate everyone by their age and they do it by color and it has the same production value as The Last Jedi. It's
show them the far one over at the corner there, James, where they're in the carousel.
This one here?
Yeah, that one. That's the carousel. You see them in the outfits, and they eventually take these outfits off to reveal themselves in form.
Yeah, when you get old and ugly, no one is fat in this movie, by the way. Everyone is fucking gorgeous.
This thing goes around in a circle, and they eventually rise up into the air. Mm-hmm. And once they get so high into the carousel, it gets zapped out of the air. They just go up in smoke, and everyone thinks it's a big show of renewal. And they start clapping their hands and cheering and everything because they think their friends are getting renewed.
There's a whole wing of the city that is just dedicated to having a big orgy. Like you can just walk in there and
they just live for pleasure and fun. That's it.
It's like you want to live there, but it's so dystopian. You're like, do I want to live there? Like I don't know. It's one of those great sci-fi environments where it makes you think about a lot of things, and then eventually they escape. And the last 30 minutes of the movie kind of lets it down, but the rest of it is fantastic.
Yeah, I like when he finally gets out and he realizes that
and they meet the old guy with the cats.
Yeah, what's his name? Orson Welles?
It wasn't Orson Welles.
That was not Orson Welles. Peter Ustinov.
It was just some bearded
Peter
guy.
Ustinov. Yeah, Peter Ustinov.
They go to the Washington Capitol and they meet this guy and he's got like 50 cats and he tells them.
Yeah, he's the crazy old cat man.
And they bring him back. Yeah,
I don't know. Library of Congress.
Good movie. Like, definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty awesome movie. For the
it really is. It's fantastic.
Like James said, the last part when they go back to the city and the city gets destroyed and blows up and the people start to come out and they experience this little old man for the first time with wrinkled skin and gray hair and stuff because they've never seen that before, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they turn 30 and they go to carousel. So nobody in the city has ever seen an old man before, let alone wrinkled skin or whatever. Because
everyone over 30 has been
because in that city
killed off.
Because in that city, everybody that hits 30 hits the wall. So they get exterminated in the carousel until they're being renewed again. But once these people go inside the city, they have this shock with this old man with wrinkles on his face, and they start touching him, and they're all fascinated with him and his gray hair and all that stuff. It's kind of amusing.
So who raises the kids?
Who raises the kids?
Who does?
Well, I imagine it's a community effort there.
I guess would be because the parents are dying when the kids turn what? 18?
No, the movie actually starts out with him like looking at a baby through like a wall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's like, is that yours? And he's like, I don't know. It's just a baby.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. We don't need to worry about it. And they move on.
That's I imagine they developed something called communal care.
Yeah.
And they just
so I imagine it's very state run.
Yeah.
Fucking Aristotle.
Sort of, yeah.
It's completely dystopian. Like there's this veneer of like pleasure and freedom, but you're ultimately controlled. Like, and that's the neat thing about it. And it's not subtle. It doesn't beat you over the head with it. Like you just figure it out by watching it. It's like you see this world that they're living in. And you're like, oh, this is great. Everyone's beautiful and sex is like free to come by, and you have all the food and you can work out and everything's great. But then you realize, oh wait, there's a catch. Yeah,
they never did a second run of that movie. They just brought out a TV series, and that takes over from where they left off after they've left the cities. which are big giant biodomes, I guess you could say. Yeah, then it gets even weirder. But
And for some reason, my camera has pooped out. Let me exit and relaunch real quick here. Be right back.
Okay. The premise sounds interesting.
it's yeah, it's got to be, it's 70s, I think. But it's a funky movie, but it was fun to watch actually.
sounds like it.
Yeah.
So
You can get it on YouTube actually.
So is it dystopian or utopian?
Well, I think what they're trying to display is like a futuristic utopia, but there was something about it that had a behind the scenes sinister atmosphere to it with for example, the renewal eye, the fact that these people thought they were being renewed when in fact they're being killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They think they're being like reborn
or recycled. Well, their friends are cheering them on and watching them get zapped out of the blue and all that stuff, and they have no idea they're dying for good. Yeah, it's game over, kaput.
It's told in a very 70s style too. Like if you watch it looking for modern day pacing, you're not going to find it. It's very slow moving and deliberate, and the visuals will quite frankly fuck with your brain.
Eventually Logan, who was the former Sandman, does go back to the Dome City and tries to shout out to people that it's a big lie and that you're being killed. And the people in the audience that are going into the carousel to watch the so-called renewal, they just look at him for a few seconds and then they just turn and walk away thinking he's a radical nut or something. And they go into the carousel anyways, right? And I think it's at that point he gets retrieved by a bunch of other Sandmen and taken back to be, I guess you could say, interrogated. And
it's kind of a retelling of Fahrenheit 451 in a way. Now that I think.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing: you guys keep calling it dystopian. It sounds like utopian.
Well,
really, it sounds like the epitome of utopia in that you don't grow old. You don't. I mean, you think you're being renewed, and you die.
Yeah.
So there's no terror about death.
Yeah. Well, see,
the ultimate terror.
In the human psyche. Everyone is happily ignorant. Yes.
Yeah, everybody's happily ignorant. They live a life of pleasure and joys. They don't experience pain. They got surgical methods.
You make a good point, Dax. Actually, it is kind of utopian in that cynical way.
Yeah.
Well, no, and the only way utopia could ever come about.
No, I don't agree. I think utopia is actually the ideal situation. It should not propagate itself on lies.
Well, isn't that? I mean, if we acknowledge truth for the three of us, and we're not exactly happy people now, are we?
I know, right?
I'm as miserable as they come.
I have so many buddies that are just like happy and just love everything, and I'm like, oh my god, I wish I could be you.
I'm so goddamn miserable right now. I'm gonna go next week and get renewed.
Like I seriously, I know. I talk to them about things, and they're like, "Why do you think about that? Like, why do you bother? Like, why are you digging so deep?" And I'm like, I can't help it.
I gotta go down to that circus. I gotta go down to that circus, hold up my hand, and jump on that carousel.
Well, if anything, any marketing, whatever effort expects me to care for it, give me a reason, hook me in. If you can't do that, then I'm gonna say it's stupid.
And forgive me, Darren. I don't know you that well. I don't know your situation, so that was a bit of a presumption on my part. But I do know me and James. And I mean, let's be frank. Compared to the rest of human history, we're living large. We live better than 99.99999% of humans ever thought possible.
Oh, I'm just kidding, Max. I've had a rough grind at life in the last 7-8 years and whatnot, but I'm pretty much past it now, and I'm just trying to do my own thing my own way. So I'm not 100%, but I'm not an unhappy guy either. I've got a lot of things in my advantage right now too. I I've got one set of blessings, and then I got another set of things that really eat my ass. But you know, in the company of good people, I'm just fine. I'm as ordinary as anyone, so I don't really care. You know, I live a day at a time. I don't live a week at a time or a month at a time. But I had to throw that in as a pun into the movie that I'm so miserable. I think I'll go to the carousel. You know, like so. I just I was just making light of that.
But you know, you should at least take advantage of the hooker on demand system that they have.
It was a great system, man, and they could custom order what they wanted.
It was totally great. It was
and
just
they'd have
like,
all these chicks that suddenly appear out of nowhere and come into the room, and they'd start playing around and doing their thing, you know.
yeah,
They'd be in their little house coats and all that shit. And, you know what was going to happen next.
yeah, that's perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with that.
So basically, they got to fuck freely whoever they wanted, without any jealousy, without anything outside of passions,
Or no stigma either. Like, it's
nothing but enjoyment, thrill, drinks, whatever they wanted, and basically that all stopped at 30. Then they'd have to go get renewed.
Well, no,
because if you could survive all that sex up to 30, you're pretty worn out anyways, and probably should be recycled.
Oh damn!
What? It's a world devoid of morality or religion or any kind of dogma or ideology. It is basically a bunch of attractive people working out, eating good food, and fucking and living life.
Living life Riley.
Like, well, no, it's not. It's not just that. The primary thing I'm hearing is that it's a world with no future. There is no future. There's nothing to worry about, and that's the big thing.
Well, that's the easiest thing, right? It seems like paradise, but that's not the case, right?
As far as the inhabitants are concerned, within the dome, there's nothing else outside of the dome city. They think that place that they're at is it, and that's the way it's always going to be. They don't know any different.
Yeah,
and that's the journey of the Sandman, who's like,
they're only told that the outside world outside of the dome is toxic, right?
Yeah,
and that they can't go there for whatever reason.
Yeah, and he basically proves that it's not, and leads a revolution.
In the following series,
fucking unskilled douchebags are going to have to forage for life.
Yeah,
like, good job. You probably just eliminated all.
You've just bitten the apple and destroyed Eden.
Interestingly, in the sequel series of this movie, you find out later on that there's a hidden council of 12 old men that are in their 60s and 70s, and even older, that are running the city. You might say they're the mythical patriarchy.
Finally.
Yeah. And this isn't revealed till later. And nobody in the city is aware of these old men, but these old men see everything that's going on within the city. They control everything that's going on with the city. They're, I guess you could say, the Council of Wisdom, if you will, or patriarchy. And nobody's completely aware of them. And Logan's not aware of them until he gets dragged in there in front of them. These guys call the shots, and no one in the city is even aware they exist. It's a weird thing.
Oh no, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to what is it that people want in life, and when you consider that most people are going to say the absence of suffering and the enhancement of pleasure, then this does sound like utopia.
Well, I want to drink, I want to party, get screwed, and die when I'm 30. Yeah.
So I mean, with that, if you had that big confrontation with the villain and they presented their goal as altruistic, could you argue it? Because honestly, I don't think I could. Because if their goal is to give as much pleasure and limit as much pain as possible, this seems like the way to do it.
Well, see, this is the thing. There's no sense of evil in this city. They're not violent people. They're not aggressive people. They just go happily about their merry way, doing whatever they darn well want, pretty much. And they don't step on each other, but they openly accept and take onto each other in sort of a polyamorous fashion.
It does present a very harmonious society. Everyone does seem to get along. Like, they have their suits that are color coded, which represents their rank or their age, and it seems to be accepted. No one seems to be discontent, and anyone that is discontent gets. That's why Sandman are there, right? Like we see it in the very first scene where they hunt down a discontent who's not ready to be rejuvenated,
Renewed.
or whatever
Yeah.
they call it. But,
Renewed.
renewed, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's
Well,
a runner. He doesn't want
even the
to. Doesn't want
Sandman.
to be renewed. He's not buying into the dogma,
Yeah.
and so they hunt him down and shoot him.
Yeah. Well, even in this movie, the Sandmen aren't completely aware too that what they're doing is actually killing them.
No,
they're
they're
thinking
doing a favor.
they think they're just stunning them out, and then something's going to come along in the way of a floating midair device, float over them, spray something on them.
Horrible shots, by the way.
Yeah, which really just decomposes them in rapid time.
In the movie, you're just slapping your forehead. You're like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah.
Why? Are you,
Bunch of guys with these flying skidoos fly over your body and spray something on you, and you decompose in like under 5 seconds.
That's
nothing.
Yeah, if you focus on things like that, the movie falls apart. But
Yeah.
like, if you think about the concept, the action, it's great. But oh my god, you see stuff like that, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so bad, it's good."
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean,
But they're hunting them down, thinking they're taking them back to be renewed,
well, yeah,
but for a different direction. So they don't have any idea that they're murdering or shooting them. You know, they think that they're basically putting them down to be renewed.
Yeah, that makes sense. What was that? What was that experiment from ancient Greece where you saw shadow puppets, and that's all people ever saw, and they thought that that's all there was? This sounds a lot like, well, pretty much that. Aristotle, was that it? Was that his experiment?
I've never heard of it, but I'm looking it up. I'm looking up ancient Greeks shadow puppets.
And yeah, you have no idea if the concept of death, the very concept of death, was never given to you. How could you conceive of it? How could you implement the knowledge? And that's why I'm saying utopia would be best served through ignorance.
And the badass dude in the whole movie, the worst character in the whole movie, was Logan's sidekick, another Sandman, who went by the name of Francis. Typical, looks like an typical Irish American character. You know, dark curly hair, blue eyes. You know.
Did he try to be funny a lot?
Yeah. But he has a mean streak to him, that comes out throughout the movie.
Really?
Yeah, to the point where you realize that, deep down in his heart, he's pretty cruel.
All right.
Yeah, he even turns on his friend eventually, but eventually Logan has to kill him, which is what happens. I think Logan beats him to death when he pursues him outside of the city when they're fleeing the sanctuary. Whole bunch of bizarre scenes. And then you find out how the city gets fed. They got a big robot somewhere in the base of the city or underground, and they got these huge freezer chambers. It's like big ice caves. And this robot freezes everything in the way of fish, birds, mammals, and whatnot. And while Logan and Jessica were trying to flee, they run into this big, giant, glitzy robot, and it's like really polished and, chrome covered and whatnot. It's got kind of a human-esque character to it. And its job was to freeze birds and fish and anything else, seafood, whatever it caught, or was brought into the city from the outside. And at some point in its history, something went wrong with the computer in this device or this particular robot. And instead of just freezing fish and birds and animals and stuff like that, it started freezing human beings. And at one point, Jessica and Logan finally go into a cavern, one of these ice caverns, and they start noticing all these human bodies that are frozen in ice, standing upward against the wall. And then it finally dawns on them what's going on, And the robot tries to freeze him. But thankfully, he brought his super ray gun, stop running runner blaster, and he zaps his robot out and puts him out of commission. And it's kind of funky. But apparently this thing supplied the city with all the food and stuff like that, the fish, the game, or whatever. And it's just outside of the dome somewhere, I guess, in the substructure of it. And just big, huge underground ice caverns. It's a really funky movie. If you get on YouTube, you can watch little sequels of it, like 2 or 3 minute rounds of it and stuff like that through various parts of the movie. Or you can probably get it online somewhere and view it. It's actually it's a pretty funky sci-fi. I first heard about it from a friend who read the book, and he mentioned the movie was coming out, so I finally did get to see it, but I didn't get to see it until it actually ended up on TV.
I'd be down for a Logan's Run remake. I'd be fine with that.
Do you remember when the Iceman was attempting to freeze them? That was funky.
Dude, that shit fucked with my head.
Yeah. Time for freezing.
I'm actually kind of wanting to see this movie.
Yeah, it's good. It's interesting. Just watch a few of the pre-vids and stuff like that on YouTube.
Oh,
various age.
Logan's Run, 1976 full movie.
Yeah, the full movie. Or if you just want a basic rundown at the beginning, there's probably an intro there, like kind of like a theater sneak peek. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing some stuff right now. Yeah, I might watch this movie. This sounds pretty good.
It's pretty fucking funky.
It's fun. It's weird. It's super trippy and hard to follow at places, but just roll with it.
Lots of hot, scantily dressed 70s chicks.
Yeah, I just opened the clip about the robot. It's that is fuck. Still looks good though.
Oh, it's awesome.
All right. Sorry guys, I have to jump off here I gotta go make dinner.
All right, brother.
All right, okay, you guys
Dax.
take care. Right?
You too, Dax. You take care.
All right, thanks for joining me.
Enjoy the movie.
Talk to you later,
thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Come back when you're ready to get renewed.
What's some other good 70s movies? Barbarella?
Yeah, Barbarella, yeah.
That was some good shit.
That was Jane Fonda, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's her name? Hanoi Jane.
She's hot as shit. I don't care what anyone says.
Oh, back then she was. I don't care for her too much now. But she lost a lot of respect of Americans after her comments during the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I don't care. I use it for her body.
Yeah, she was a political junkie in the day, right?
Uh-huh.
Oh, shit. There was... Hey, Sheila, do you remember any of the popular 1970s movies that were really big? There was Barbarella. There was... what do they call it? The Logan's Run. Saturday Night Fever. Yeah, that's
it was Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon, yeah.
Flash Gordon was amazing.
Yeah. Oh gosh, there was a shitload of programs on during that day. In fact, I would say the 70s was probably the most dynamic time for music and entertainment.
It was definitely the era of free speech.
Oh, yeah.
People did whatever the fuck they wanted, and the studio let them do what they wanted.
Sure. Yeah. And they didn't care because it was, just part of life, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you had the haves and the have-nots. You had the extremely powerful, the extremely weak. You had the gun-coat and nuts. You had all the monks. It's, you were what you were kind of thing, right?
Like here's the Barbarella.
There, the worst thing that happened was Irish Italians. Just poking your nose, Jane, just for fun. Yeah, Barbarella. Yeah, that was her.
I know, right? Like that was feminist in the 70s.
In fact, you want to hear a funny thing about that? If you watch that series of Barbarella, when she's hooked up the machine, she's having sex with it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now you talk about virtual reality.
That was feminist. Like that was female empowerment. Like,
yeah. Yeah, more or less.
How far we've come. Like you try to do that in a movie now, like
shit,
never happened.
The other one that was female empowerment was Thelma and Louise. Oh God, that was such a cheesy movie.
I've never seen it.
With, yeah, it's got Susan Sarandon, and I can't remember the name of the other actor. Who?
Gina Davis.
Gina Davis. Yeah, yeah.
Never saw the movie, but I knew that.
Yeah, yeah. Just some of the scenes were just stupefying. Like blowing up a tanker truck with a single shot from a handgun. And they're at a truck stop, and for some reason she always seems to end up getting fucked over by some badass trucker.
Yeah.
And in a lot of the scenes, all you see is these trucks going around in circles, kicking up the dust in the parking lot and honking their horns all night long. You know? It's like we had nothing better to do but drive around in circles at the truck stop, kicking up dust and honking our air horns all night long. You know, it makes them look like a bunch of party animals that don't actually do anything useful. And
here's one of my favorite movies, Flash Gordon.
Flash Gordon, that was another one. Yep.
Fucking love this movie so much.
Shazam!
Oh my god, so great.
Shazam! Yep, Flash Gordon was a hit in the day.
Max von Sydow plays the best evil villain.
Yeah.
He's so cheesy and over the top and just brilliant.
Oh, the other one was ISIS.
Huh.
ISIS as in a female Egyptian spiritual figure.
Wow.
There was a kind of like a female superhero character called ISIS.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah. And she'd hold her hands up there and go, "Oh, mighty ISIS," and then she'd transform into some kind of a magnificent superhero, kind of like Wonder Woman, right?
Huh.
So that's spinning around in circles and.
Oh my god, is that it?
Yeah. Yeah, and she sort of has the walk like an Egyptian look.
Huh.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the character or who played her. But porn parody. So yeah, so they did a porn parody of ISIS.
Yeah, there's her in Shazam.
Yeah. Shazam. Yeah.
Glory.
Yeah. I still remember that outfit she wore. Kind of scanty, but that was 70s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Probably around 1973, 74.
That's
in that
embarrassing.
period.
Can't believe they did that.
Yeah. To me, she was just another kickoff of Wonder Woman. Yeah. Now, if you said ISIS today, everybody go, "Where's the fucking terrorist?"
Did you watch Wonder Woman in the 70s?
Yes. The original one with Linda Carter. Yep.
Yeah.
Both has a movie and has a TV series. Some of them are pretty good.
Yeah, that was the definitive Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, the definitive one. Yeah, Linda Carter. And then for the longest time, all I saw her was on eyeglass commercials. But for the day and age, if you look at her body form, for that day and age, that was considered that was hot.
Oh, it's still hot.
Today, that would be looked at as kind of, well, she's a little chunky here, a little chunky there, But back in the day, in that time, that was considered the hot look.
Well, it looks like it's strangling her.
Yeah,
Like
the perfect body kind of thing.
So,
yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, that's a good shot of it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still think she's the best looking Wonder Woman. I don't think they can ever come up with anything as good as that. Not yet, anyways.
Well, she is pretty amazing, but Gal Gadot is pretty fucking amazing too. I don't know.
Yeah. Now it says Wonder Woman is bisexual. Obviously, it says DC Comics.
What?
Remember that? Yeah. Of course, in the original series, she's a like a Navy kind of ensign or something that works in the offices of the Navy, I guess, in Washington D.C. And the German, of course, the United States is at war with Germany and whatnot, and there's all kinds of Nazi spies and infiltrators and whatnot, and she goes and rounds them up in the form of Wonder Woman.
Oh God!
And gets confessions out of the golden lasso,
Oh my God!
or captures a German U-boat off the coast, drags it back to shore, or whatever.
What are the other some great sci-fi movies from the 70s?
Oh Jesus! Space 1999.
Oh my gosh!
Remember that one? Space 1999 was a big sci-fi. Yeah, that one. Yep.
Yeah, and then the interesting thing about that is they just colonized the moon. Like that was their thing.
In fact, Space 1999 was pretty much, I guess you could say, uh, just from looking at the outfits and stuff like that, you could say the movie was kind of somewhat inspired by Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
In a lot of ways. Like, look at their outfits, even though they're a
Really
solid
grounded though.
color, they're bright. Yeah, but
They
it's
weren't like going out into deep space. It was like
oh, yeah, just usually the moon. You know,
mhm.
but the ship was certainly interesting. But yeah, I think they basically they're a base on the moon,
Mm-hmm.
and that's their transportation between the Earth and Moon and stuff like that. But yeah, it was called Space 1999, and I never really could figure out the whole storyline to it. Uh, it wasn't like like Star Trek was, eh? There
Mm-hmm.
was a certain storyline to Star Trek, and you'd have to watch the whole thing, but you'd eventually figure it out, eh?
I know a little
Well,
bit about it, but I never watched the show much. So yeah,
yeah.
I'm not a
Well,
resource
Star
for
Trek
it. But
usually had an underlying message to their ending of their shows. Uh,
mhm.
usually something positive, that we can get along, or we can coexist, or we can uh, discover things together and achieve great things. That kind of message.
Mhm.
You got that in Star Trek, but Space 99. I don't know 1999. It was fun to watch, I guess, but it didn't really have anything of a storyline that I could really figure out.
Hmm.
So we watched it, but we just didn't get. I don't think it gave us the same joy that Star Trek did.
Well, very few things can. Let's be honest. Star Trek was pretty important.
Well, yeah, it was probably the first really big sci-fi outside of the cheap special effects that we had in the 1950s and 60s,
Mhm.
like the original Lost in Space.
Yeah, definitely.
Lost in Space, yeah. The original Lost in Space. I grew up on that show practically, along with everything else like Gilligan's Island or Chuck Connor's The Rifleman,
Mm.
things like that. My Three Sons, another show I didn't really care for. And I loved watching Archie Bunker.
That was a huge hit at the time. Like people don't like to talk about that, but that was a thing. Like,
Second family divided along political ideologies. You had Meathead and
mhm.
uh, his daughter. They're kind of left liberal and kind of the hippie generation. Free love and all that stuff. Peace man. And then
Yeah.
Archie is sort of your hardcore right wing fanatical. Puritanist, all that stuff, and of course, the wife, Edith, she's sort of
Oh
a
yeah, Edith. Yeah,
tootsie kind
Edith.
of housewife, yeah, who sees everything in an innocent light and isn't really aware of anything wrong or evil. She's just kind of, but
Yeah,
Archie,
she's just there. Yeah, trying to make the best of everything.
yeah, just making the best of it and
Hmm.
trying to keep him calmed down and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
when he's at odds with the girl, the daughter's boyfriend all the time. So it was that was a good show.
Well, hey, I'm gonna go eat some dinner real quick and pass out probably.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't get on sooner there, James. I had to.
Oh man, I'm glad you made it at all. It's really
Yeah,
nice.
I was cooking a chicken up and boiling potatoes and everything else, and
You gotta
had to
have
get that
dinner
on the
with it.
table for Sheila and Ryan. And we bought
I
a
know.
big piece of antique furniture today.
I'm feeling
So,
that urge myself.
we had to rent a U-Haul to get it back here.
Well, this was a random stream, so I'm glad you could make it at all. So yeah,
we're not going to
nice
get
to have the chance to catch up.
So we're kind of worn out from dragging that thing and
Yeah,
whatnot, but we got a good deal on it, so that's great. It's a nice wooden piece to take up north when we buy a new house up there.
awesome, man.
Yeah, and or that. Oh yeah, well, I guess the only other good thing I got this week, I got a Stanley black chrome ratchet and socket set this week.
Oh my gosh,
229 pieces worth about $500, and I got it for $147 on sale at Canadian Tire. What a steal! I couldn't get it that cheaper on Amazon. So
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, so I was happy to get that. And then Sheila
All
saw
right,
this nice.
I gotta go eat my dinner before it gets cold.
Okay.
So,
Okay, James, you take care.
all right, buddy. Good talking to you. See you soon.
We'll catch up with you later, another time. Thanks.
Take care, man.
Bye.